Hey guys, this is in continuation to the last video where I was talking about how to install WebLogic and what is the role of certification matrix in installing that. So at the end, the question was like how to create two managed servers and an admin server. So at the point when we have done our primary analysis with the help of certification matrix, what we can do, we can directly go after installation into the bin folder and take the config.sh file. So this config.sh file is a very important tool which is given by Oracle, which will allow you to create a domain either in GUI mode, that we usually call it GUI mode, or in the silent mode. So let's talk about GUI mode. So for GUI mode, we just need to run this script as a simple script that we run. But before that, we have to import the xming or the xauth so that we can actually run this config.sh on the Linux machine, and we can bring in the GUI in that particular session. So for how to do that xming installation and how to bring that GUI mode on the Linux machine, that's a different question. But yeah, this is the file which we use for the installation of the domain, I mean the creation of WebLogic domain. So basically, which is available under WebLogic Home. And how this WebLogic Home gets created? It created when you have installed your WebLogic under middleware Home. So usually the path of this particular WebLogic Home is basically goes till WL server, and if you go two folders down, common and binary, you'll get this config.sh, and you simply had to run this config.sh after importing the GUI session with the xming, which is the Windows software, which will actually allow you to bring the GUI mode on the Linux box. And once you execute this, you will get a particular separate window where you have been asked to put the admin server name and what is the plain port. When I say plain port, like what is the admin server port, and you can simply you can select what all components you need to you want to create in the domain creation part, whether you want to create a managed server at the time of managed domain installation, or you want to create it later. But at least one domain should have one admin server, and any number of managed servers can be taken inside the domain, but that depends like what kind of infrastructure you have and what kind of business requirements you have. But then if you run this config.sh, you have been asked to what all components that you need, whether it is only admin server or you need managed server as well, you need JMS or JDBC resources, and do you want to install node manager or not. So all such information you have been asked for each window when you scroll through after executing this config.sh. And then at the end, when once you filled in all the details, whichever requirement you have, it'll take some time and it'll create a domain. And domain home is a different path from the WebLogic home. So we have to put a very much emphasis on this question, that what is WebLogic home and what is domain home. So WebLogic home is from where we get this tool config.sh to create a domain, and domain home is something which you put during the creation of domain. So domain home is the very important thing, because this domain itself is a kind of box, I can say, which holds all the configuration for that particular WebLogic application, that has managed server, that has admin server, that has different directories underneath, having logs, and then accordingly. So I'll give you a more detail in next video on what are the log files and how the structure goes through in WebLogic after domain creation. That is how we create a domain, and that is how it works. So let's say if you have created two managed servers during the creation of domain, then how will you do the second managed server configuration? So the point is, when you put this particular information at the time of domain creation, that you are going to create two managed servers, you are going to provide two different IPs or a physical machine if it is a horizontal cluster, and if it is like a vertical cluster, you put same IP address for both the managed servers. So that is how that domain gets created. But post that, what you have to do is you have to install a WebLogic on the another machine if it is a horizontal cluster, and if it is a vertical cluster, that means it is sitting on the same machine. Then there is no need of WebLogic installation. So in case of horizontal cluster where you install a new WebLogic product stack just to support a domain which has been created on the first machine with two managed servers. So you have to use an utility which is called pack and unpack utility. It is a very nice utility which is given by Oracle, and that supports that how you do a clustering, because once you create a domain, post domain creation, you run this utility pack.sh that has certain syntax that you can get anywhere on the Google. And if you want, post me in the comments, I'll provide you that. So once you run this, it will create a jar file. So that jar file is nothing but in, a packet of configuration for the complete domain, and then you just put that jar file on the second machine where you want to create a second managed server. Just unpack that particular packed jar file, and you will get your all the second managed server configuration in that. Why? Because at the time of domain creation itself, you had given the IP address of this particular second machine where you want to expand your second managed server. So that is how your admin server and managed server gets created, and that is how you create a kind of vertical horizontal cluster, and that is how you can go through vertical cluster. So guys, if this explanation is not clear, you can ask me in the comments. I can try to elaborate that, or I can make another video specifically based on your questions, so that you'll get benefited. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.